Congratulations to the 8th grade class of 2020. We're sorry that due to the current situation, we're doing this on a Zoom call. And we hope you know that we hope you're getting through the stressful time okay, and there are 15 assignments for you to do after this. Alright, Brady, give your speech. What have you felt about these past 8 years going to this school? What have I felt? Kindergarten, the grade of simpler times. The grade where we had nap time, which, by the way, I always hated nap time. I would always just grab a book and wait for it to be over. And nowadays, whenever a teacher asks for suggestions on what to improve on, everyone says bring back nap time. Drama in kindergarten was also very simple. One incident I remember was I was sitting at a table and one person had made a Polar Express Club. That was one of my favorite movies at the time. And another person made some other club. Since it was kindergarten, I'm gonna say it was Thomas the Tank Engine Club. And they spent like half of lunch pursuing me to join, and they even began offering me food. I eventually joined the Thomas Club, and the other group goes, oh, well, of course you're gonna join their club. And I don't even know what the club did. I can't recall anything about the club since that incident. It just kind of existed in the background and no one acted on it. Now I'm just wondering what that Polar Express Club was like. For all I know, it could have been the greatest club of all time, and I'll never know. Another thing that happens in kindergarten is, quote-unquote, relationships. I remember in kindergarten, someone once told me, you know, holding hands with someone is basically like getting married. And so naturally, if you held hands with somebody else, you were shipped together forever. This next story is something I was told by someone who doesn't even go to my school anymore, so I don't know if it's true, but I'm still gonna tell it. So there was this girl in kindergarten, you know, we held hands once, and we were practically gonna get married. And apparently one day in the middle of the line to go to the bathroom, I blurted out, I'm gonna have my first kiss! And the teachers heard, and I got pulled out of line and got yelled at. And then I got sent to the principal. One other thing that happened was that grade was the start of our Christmas programs. And while we were practicing, apparently I kept putting the word booty into the songs. And when my mom went to visit my teacher about it, she just laughed and laughed about it. So yeah, kindergarten is definitely one strange place. First grade is what I like to call the forgotten grade. Why? Because I don't remember anything from it. The only memory I have is apparently one person said they weren't my friend anymore and I cried. And everyone makes fun of me for it, but like, how else is a first grader going to act? Like, yes. Well, this is rather unfortunate. This in turn has now brought up the marvelous opportunity to try and make new acquaintances and learn more about myself along the way. Second grade was a very interesting time as well. Second grade was the start of a lot of drama. Like the one time someone knocked off my shoe when I was climbing one of these things at recess, and I naturally thought they were trying to murder me. Yeah, second grade logic is really wild, ain't it? That student and I soon became bitter rivals. And that hate lasted all the way up to 4th grade. One example of this being, we would make our own yearbooks, where our teachers would give us the pictures and the papers to put in, and we would do so. But I took it a step further and cut him out of all the photos he was in. And he noticed that and got really mad. My teacher saw, but she was just more offended that I cut the photos in general rather than cutting him out, so whatever. 3rd grade was the start of Minecraft becoming popular at school. And because of this, a Minecraft club was started by a good friend of mine at the time. And naturally, it being the largest club with all the popular kids in it, I joined the club, despite not having Minecraft. So I'd be sitting with the rest of the club at lunch, and while they would be talking about their cool houses and stuff they built, I would try to fit in with the knowledge I knew from just a couple of random YouTube videos. So yeah, it took me like 4 hours to finish the house, but I was so happy once I finished it. Yeah, that's cool and all, but guys, did you know that there are diamonds in the game? Man, those creepers, am I right? Somehow I was never kicked out of the club for being a fraud. 3rd grade was also around the time we got our infamous computer teacher. I made a video about her last year and it did pretty well, so here are some more stories about her. This first story was one of the few times she was on the right. So we were supposed to be writing a paper about something in class, I don't really know what it was. However, instead of doing the paper, I changed the font size really large and just wrote poop. And since she had this thing on her computer to watch all of her screens, I got in trouble. Also, one time Colin got up a little too early before class ended and he had to write 100 sentences about it. Also, one time she literally made us go on her blog for an assignment. Like, I don't even think we had to write anything down. She literally just went and told us to go on her blog and mess around with it. Like, How desperate do you have to be to get viewers for your blog that you make a bunch of 3rd graders read it? It was a proper blog too. Like, no 3rd grader is going to care about how much of a pain paying your mortgage is and stuff like that. Also, I think one time she showed us how bad Wikipedia is by literally editing an article about some saint and added stuff about her in it. I don't know if Wikipedia actually saved it or not, but if it did, and someone out there failed their paper on that saint, I apologize on behalf of my school for allowing her to be hired. Also, she kind of had a thing for making fun of the quiet kids. Anyway, let's move on to 4th grade. 4th grade was not a good grade for me personally. Everyone else at my school is always like, oh my gosh, I remember 4th grade. I loved 4th grade. It was such a good grade. But I didn't. And that's because I became a big snitch. Not only is that enough for me to look back and discuss with, but I also became very sensitive and would cry over the dumbest things. Like the one time I cried over not having indoor recess. This in turn led to me becoming very unpopular, which was understandable, especially when I would tell on people who would switch tables when I would sit there for being meanies. Eventually, I slowly began realizing that I was being a big dummy, but that was by the end of 4th grade, and by that point, the damage had already been done. And it would take the next 3 grades to try and get my reputation fully back. One thing I did get out of 4th grade, however, was my love of geography. I don't know how it started, but that was the grade it started, and it stayed the same way ever since. This led me to realizing how ridiculous some of the questions in 4th grade could be. Like when someone asked, when did Greenland become a state? Despite the fact that our homeroom had a map that had Greenland labeled as part of Denmark on it. This is why the rest of the world thinks Americans are idiots. 5th grade was the start of my attempt to redeem myself, and I thought I was doing a pretty good job. I was making new friends and stuff. However, there were still some noticeable problems, like when I started crying whenever we got homework. Also, people weren't quick to buy the fact that I had changed. One person even told me that we shouldn't be friends in the case that he ends up in a different homeroom than me in 6th grade so I wouldn't cry about it. That is a big yikes for me, my friend. 5th grade was also the grade I tried too hard to be funny. You already know about one of my worst examples if you watched this video, but I also tried being funny by scaring people. Well, it was that at first, but it just turned into me yelling stupid noises at people. To the point that I apparently made a girl no longer like me, but whatever. Yeah, so looking back, 5th grade wasn't actually that much better than 4th grade. Although Pokemon cards became a thing in 5th grade, and that was fun. So I guess 5th grade has that going for it. Oh boy, 6th grade. For me personally, this was probably the most drama-filled grade. Yes, even more than junior high, which is known for having tons of it. This is due to a certain person I dated. I'm not going to get into specifics here, but basically, we dated for a while, we broke up, we tried to stay friends, but we were both really mature about it, and she asked out a close lady friend of mine the day after I broke up with her. Whatever, 6th grade was wild like that. 6th grade, I also went through a writing phase. In fact, me and her actually wrote a book in Google Docs that was 54 pages long that took place during World War II. Looking back, it had very much 6th grade writing, but it was still nice. I also started writing another story with her as my love interest in it, but when we broke up, I got all salty and turned her into a bully. Again, we were very mature. 6th grade was also when I stopped being a snitch, so at least 6th grade has that going for it. I've already covered a lot of what happened in 7th grade in past videos, so I'm not going to talk about anything here. Well, except one thing. This part of the video I'm dedicating to our 7th grade English teacher, Mr. C. He was still learning how to be a teacher in his college, and so he taught us for the first semester before heading back to his home in Minnesota for the second. And I really liked him. He was nice, and he wasn't overly strict, and most of us were excited for him to come back at some point during the second semester. However, one day after recess, we were informed of the news that he had taken his own life, and no one knew how to handle it. He seemed so happy and joyful, and because of that, no one expected him to take his own life. And that seems to happen with a lot of people. You never truly know what they're dealing with mentally and emotionally until it's too late. And I want to take this part of the video to iterate. Please, if you're having those thoughts, look for someone and talk to them, even if they don't understand what you're going through. We miss you, Mr. C. I hope you're in a better place now. 8th grade was the grade of disappointment. It all seemed so promising. Graduation, trips to Springfield and Dubuque, our dinner dance, it was all supposed to go so well. But then, as we all know, some dude ate a bat, and now we're here on the Zoom call. Wait, oh crap, I'm still on the Zoom call! Ugh! Brady! What's wrong with you? You've been silent for like 15 minutes. I just asked what your closing words are. What are my closing words? When the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long.
You think that love is only for the lucky